Welcome, chosen ones, to this transformative journey. If you've ever felt like you're waiting for something bigger to happen in your life, then you're exactly where you need to be. In today's video, we're diving deep into divine timing, spiritual breakthroughs, and the incredible transformation that awaits you. The universe has aligned this moment for you right now, and everything you've been praying for is closer than you think. So, if you're ready to step into your divine purpose, to unlock the mysteries of your true potential, then make sure you stay with us through the entire video. It's not by accident that you're here. God's plan for your life is unfolding now, and you're about to witness miracles. Chosen one, do you feel the weight of the world pressing down on you? The crushing disappointments, the silence that lingers when you've prayed and felt no answer. The long seasons where nothing seems to happen. It's easy to assume that these seasons of struggle are setbacks or signs that something is wrong. But what if I told you that these moments, these seasons of struggle, are not punishment or failure? They are preparation. You are being shaped, not broken beyond repair, but broken to rebuild. You've been through more than your fair share of trials. Maybe you've faced rejection, loss, or seemingly unanswered prayers. And as these moments stacked up, it felt like they were breaking you, pushing you to your breaking point. Yet, hear this. God is not breaking you to destroy you. He is breaking you to rebuild you. The pressures, the discomfort, the things that have made you feel like you can't stand anymore, they are heaven's construction. God is removing what cannot withstand the weight of His glory. You are being shaped into a vessel He can trust with more. This is the divine process. The pressure you feel is not meant to crush you. It is meant to purify you. Every single hardship, every delay, every silence you've endured has been part of this divine instruction. You might have thought it was punishment, but in truth, it was purification. Just like gold must be refined by fire, your spirit must go through a process of purification before it can carry the weight of glory. The vessel that you are becoming must be able to hold the fullness of God's power without breaking. And for that, it requires breaking. The pressure is heaven's way of preparing you for elevation. The breaking you feel is not something to fear, but something to embrace. It's a sign that God is making room for something greater within you. You asked for more influence, more responsibility, and deeper purpose. Well, before promotion comes purification. God cannot place new wine into old wineskins. Before He can trust you with more, He must first refine you, shaping you into someone who can carry what He is about to entrust to you. This process might not always be comfortable, and it may not always make sense. But when you understand the purpose behind it, it becomes easier to embrace. God's ways are often mysterious, but they are always good. You are not falling apart. You are falling into purpose. What feels like the end is simply the middle of your making. Every trial, every crushing, every disappointment is part of a bigger divine picture, a picture that is being painted not in comfort, but in surrender. There is a deep beauty in surrender, especially when you can't see the outcome. And while the world may look at you and think that your life is broken, God sees a vessel in the making. It's in the unseen moments, the ones where you feel like no one notices your sacrifices, your quiet prayers, your unwavering faith, that God is shaping you. Heaven is taking note of every quiet act of surrender. Every time you continue to trust, continue to show up, and continue to press on, even when everything seems still, that's when heaven is most active. You may feel like you are losing, but you are actually gaining something eternal. You are gaining endurance, character, and a deeper relationship with God. The seasons of silence that you have been through have not been wasted. They have been preparing you for this moment of divine elevation. Heaven is not ignoring you. It is orchestrating the circumstances for your greater good. Everything you've been through has been to refine you, to build you into someone who can be trusted with God's power, authority, and purpose. Do not despise the breaking. It's the process of removing what cannot withstand the weight of glory, so that only what is pure and eternal remains. You are being prepared to carry a purpose that goes beyond your understanding. Trust the process. Trust that God is doing something far greater in you than you could ever have imagined. You were never meant to stay in a place of pain or defeat. The breaking is just the beginning of your making. The pressure that feels like it is suffocating you is actually God's construction on the inside of you. It's the refining that must take place before you can carry the fullness of His glory. The silence is not abandonment, it is sacred shaping. The struggle is not destruction, it is divine preparation. As you walk through this process, embrace it. Trust that God's hand is steady and His vision is perfect. The breaking is not meant to hurt you, it is meant to heal you. The suffering is not the end, it is the beginning of your transformation into something greater. The vessel you are becoming will not only withstand the weight of glory, but it will reflect it beautifully to the world around you. As you continue walking through this divine process, you may still feel the weight of the struggle, the crushing pressure that's been building in your life. It may feel as though you're in the midst of a storm, with no clear end in sight. But what if I told you that the pressure, the trials, and the silence are actually signs that God is doing something profound within you? What if I told you that the very thing you're experiencing right now is preparing you to carry a purpose that is far greater than anything you've ever imagined? This divine breaking you've been enduring is not random. It is not the result of fate or a cruel twist of events. It is God's perfect and intentional design to shape you, to refine you, and to position you for the fullness of your divine calling. You are being prepared, not just for something greater in your life, but for something that will impact the world around you. This process may not be easy, but it is necessary. Every moment of pain, every season of silence, every disappointment has been divinely ordained to remove what cannot withstand the weight of glory. We often hear that God is preparing us for something greater, but we don't always see how the preparation unfolds. The preparation is not always comfortable, it's rarely easy. But it's in this discomfort that God does some of His most profound work. Just as a potter shapes clay, God is molding you, carefully and intentionally, to be the vessel He can trust with the next level of His purpose for your life. The trials you've been through, the challenges you've faced, and even the moments of silence when you felt abandoned, they are all part of the process. They are not signs of failure. They are signs of divine construction. You may have asked, why does this pain seem so overwhelming? Why does it feel like I'm being crushed under the weight of everything I'm facing? But let me assure you that this pressure is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to purify you. Just as gold is refined in fire, you are being refined in the fire of your trials. The things that have held you back, fear, insecurity, doubt, old patterns of behavior are being burned away. And though the fire may be intense, it is not meant to harm you. It is meant to cleanse you, to remove what is impure and leave only what is pure, strong, and capable of carrying the weight of the glory that is coming. What you're experiencing is not destruction, it is divine construction. It's heaven's way of preparing you to hold more than you ever thought possible. The pressure you feel is a sign that God is about to elevate you. He is making space in your life for His glory to shine through. He is shaping you into someone who can handle the responsibility, the authority, and the purpose He is calling you to walk in. This process isn't easy, but it's necessary for your growth and for the fulfillment of your divine calling. One of the key aspects of the divine breaking is that it removes what is unnecessary. The breaking of your spirit, your heart, and even your circumstances is God's way of refining you. The weight of the world may have seemed unbearable, but what you're learning through this process is invaluable. You're learning to trust God's timing, to depend on His strength, and to lean into His wisdom. God is not breaking you because He wants to see you suffer. He is breaking off the things that would prevent you from stepping into the fullness of His purpose. He is removing the old so that He can make room for the new. The silence you've experienced in this season is not a sign of abandonment. It is a sacred shaping. During the times when you've felt like God was distant, He was actually very close, quietly working in the background, refining your character and preparing you for what's next. God's silence is not rejection, it's consecration. He's setting you apart for something greater. And in this silence, He's teaching you a deeper level of trust. He's teaching you to rely not on what you see or feel, but on His word and His promises. He's teaching you that His presence is enough, even when it feels like everything else is silent. In these moments, when you feel like no one is watching and nothing is changing, know this: God is watching. Heaven is paying attention. Every act of obedience, every moment you chose to trust when it would have been easier to walk away, is being recorded. Every time you whispered a prayer in the silence, every time you chose faith over fear, you were building something in the spiritual realm. Those moments matter. Your quiet acts of surrender and faithfulness are not unnoticed by God. Heaven sees your heart, and every act of surrender adds to the divine preparation taking place in your life. But the breaking doesn't just stop at removing the old. It's also about the building of the new. God is not just purging you of what is unnecessary. He is filling you with something greater. The vessel you are becoming is being filled with His glory, His wisdom, His strength, and His power. The more you surrender, the more God pours into you. The more you let go of what's holding you back, the more room there is for God to pour into you the things that will empower you to walk in your divine purpose. It's important to recognize that God's breaking isn't a one-time event, it's a process. There will be moments of intense pressure, moments when you feel like you can't go any further. But in those moments, trust that God is working. He is refining you for a purpose that goes beyond your understanding. He is creating in you a vessel that can withstand the weight of His glory and fulfill the calling He's placed on your life. Your breaking is the divine preparation for elevation. You are being shaped into someone who will carry more than you could have ever imagined. The struggles you've faced, the moments of pain and difficulty, were never meant to defeat you, they were meant to shape you. God is making space in your life for the glory that is coming. And when it arrives, you will be ready to carry it. You will be ready to walk in the fullness of your purpose, equipped with everything you need to fulfill it. So, as you go through this process of breaking, remember this: it's not punishment, it's preparation. God is doing something beautiful in you. He is removing the old so He can fill you with the new. He is refining you, building you, and shaping you into the person He has always intended for you to be. The breaking isn't the end. It's the beginning of something greater. Trust in the process, embrace the breaking, and know that God is preparing you for a purpose that will bring glory to Him and blessing to others. There are moments in your spiritual journey when everything goes quiet, when the noise of the world fades away, and you are left in a space of stillness, almost as if everything has come to a halt. During these times, it's easy to feel abandoned or forgotten. You pray, but there seems to be no answer. You seek, but the direction remains unclear. You feel the weight of isolation pressing down, and in the silence, the doubts begin to creep in. It is in these moments that the enemy whispers, "God has forgotten you. You're invisible. Your prayers don't matter." It's in these moments that you question your faith, your calling, and the very purpose that once felt so clear. But here's the truth: this silence is not abandonment, it is sacred preparation. You are not being left alone, you are being consecrated for something far greater. Silence is not a punishment, it's a process of sacred shaping. It is in these quiet, unseen times that God does some of His deepest work in your life. The silence isn't God's way of being distant, it's His way of drawing you closer. When everything else falls away, when the noise, the distractions, and the pressures of the world no longer command your attention, it's in this space that you begin to hear God's still, small voice more clearly. God uses these moments of solitude to refine your heart, to teach you how to trust in His presence, even when you can't hear or see Him actively moving. In silence, He strips away the distractions that keep you from fully depending on Him. He's teaching you to rely not on the noise of the world, not on your own understanding, but on His voice alone. You see, in these times of silence, God is refining your faith. He's teaching you how to trust when there's no visible answer, when you don't see the outcome of your prayers immediately. In the world, we are taught to seek instant gratification, to find immediate answers, to look for quick results. But in God's kingdom, timing is different. He often uses silence to prepare you for something greater, something that requires deeper trust, greater patience, and more consistent faith. The wilderness, the silence, and the solitude are not a rejection of you, they are sacred moments of preparation. Just as a seed needs time to grow in the soil before it can sprout, so too does your spirit need time to mature in the quiet before it can bear fruit. Silence is where God works on your heart and character. It is where He refines you, strengthens you, and teaches you how to stand firm in the truth of His promises. Even when nothing around you seems to confirm them, there is a purpose to this quiet. The isolation you feel is not abandonment, it is consecration. To be consecrated means to be set apart for God's purpose. God is using these moments to separate you from the distractions of the world so that you can focus more fully on His will for your life. You may feel alone, but in truth, you are never alone in the silence. This is the space where you learn to depend on God, to trust Him fully, and to lean into His presence. Silence also shapes your character. It's easy to praise God when everything is going well, when your prayers are being answered immediately, and when the road is clear. But silence teaches you endurance. It teaches you how to persevere when things are hard, and when you don't know when or how God will move. It's in this time that you learn the true nature of faith, not a faith that is based on results or circumstances, but a faith that trusts in God's timing and goodness, regardless of what you see. Think of the story of the Israelites in the wilderness. For 40 years, they wandered in silence. They had been delivered from Egypt, but the promise of the promised land was delayed. During that time, many grew impatient, and some doubted God's plan. But those years in the wilderness were not wasted. They were a time of shaping and refining. God used that period to teach the Israelites how to depend on Him alone, how to trust in His provision and timing. They learned how to listen to His voice, to follow His guidance, and to rely on His presence. Your season of silence is no different. While it may feel like a period of stagnation or a place of waiting, it is actually a time of divine preparation. You are learning how to trust God more deeply, how to rely on His provision, and how to walk in His timing. These are the moments that deepen your spiritual maturity. In the silence, God is not absent. He is doing His deepest work in you, refining you and preparing you for what is to come. In silence, you also learn to align your will with God's. It's easy to make decisions when the answers are clear, when you know exactly what to do and where to go. But in silence, God teaches you how to wait, how to surrender, and how to trust His guidance. You don't always need to have the answers, and you don't always need to understand what He's doing. The silence is where you learn that trusting in God's plan is enough. And here's the thing. Silence is not a waste of time. It's not a place of isolation that serves no purpose. God uses these moments to prepare you for the new season He is bringing you into. He uses silence to build your character, to deepen your trust, and to establish a foundation of faith that will carry you through the next stage of your purpose. These moments of consecration are preparing you to step into something greater than you've ever imagined. You are being shaped into a vessel that can carry God's glory. You may still feel the weight of silence in your life right now, but trust this process. God is not absent. He is preparing you. He is working in the quiet, in the unseen, in the space where nothing seems to be happening. And when the time is right, He will reveal the fullness of His purpose for your life. You won't just have the blessings you prayed for, you will have the character, the endurance, and the spiritual maturity to carry them with grace and responsibility. In the silence, you've learned something vital. that God's presence doesn't always need to be loud to be powerful. The wilderness, that quiet, often uncomfortable space where nothing seems to happen, is not a place of abandonment. It is a sacred shaping. It's in the silence that God refines your faith, builds your strength, and prepares you for the fullness of the purpose He has called you to. You've learned to trust Him in a way that you never could have in the midst of noise, distractions, and the busyness of life. In these moments of silence, when all you have is your faith and the quiet of your own heart, God is doing His deepest work. It's easy to feel that when we don't hear from God, He's absent, that He's forgotten us, or doesn't care about our struggles. But in reality, it's often in these silent moments that He is the closest to us, refining us, shaping us into vessels that can carry His glory. Think about the way a craftsman works with their material, whether wood, clay, or metal. Often, they spend more time shaping the material in ways that are unseen. The hammering, the shaping, the smoothing, it's all happening beneath the surface, out of sight, until the work is ready to be revealed. In the same way, God is working on you during these times of silence. You may not feel it at first, but He is chiseling away at your fears, your insecurities, and your doubts. He's refining your heart, and it's often in the moments of stillness, when there is no external noise or distraction, that He is able to mold you into who you are meant to be. There is strength to be found in stillness. You've learned in this season that peace is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of God in the midst of them. Silence is not the absence of God's movement. It is the place where His work is happening most profoundly. As the world rushes on, as the voices of distraction pull at you, you have learned to remain in the quiet, to sit still, and to trust that God is at work, even when you cannot see the results immediately. The wilderness, though difficult, is not a time of abandonment. It is a time of consecration. Consecration means to be set apart for God's service. In the silence, God is calling you to focus, to draw near, and to seek His face without the distractions of the world around you. It is in this sacred space of silence that you are learning to depend solely on Him. You're being weaned off the crutches of external validation, instant gratification, and worldly success. Instead, you are learning to find satisfaction in His presence, peace in His promises, and strength in His word. This period of silence is necessary for spiritual growth. Without it, we might rely on our own strength, seeking answers in places other than God. Without the silence, we might miss the quiet whispers of the Holy Spirit guiding us, teaching us, and shaping us into His image. In the wilderness, God is teaching you that your sustenance does not come from the world, but from His word and His presence. You are learning to trust that His timing is perfect and that He is doing something deeper within you than you could ever imagine. God uses silence to build your endurance. When you find yourself in a season where nothing seems to change, it's easy to feel like giving up. But endurance is built in these very moments. Endurance isn't simply about holding on when things are easy. It's about holding on when everything feels like it's crumbling around you. It's about trusting God's plan even when you can't see it. And in that trust, you find strength, resilience, and a deep sense of peace that doesn't come from your circumstances but from the unwavering trust that God is at work in the silence. During these moments, God isn't just preparing you to face the challenges ahead. He is preparing you to thrive in them. The wilderness seasons are where your character is built, where your faith is tested and refined, and where you learn that God's presence is enough, even when everything else around you seems uncertain. Through this, you become stronger not just in the physical sense, but in the spiritual sense. Your roots go deeper, your trust becomes unshakable, and your reliance on God grows stronger with every moment of silence. The silence you feel is not the absence of God. It's the place where God refines you, prepares you, and molds you into the person He has called you to be. As you wait in the stillness, God is working on your heart, your soul, and your spirit. It's during these quiet moments that God prepares you for the next season, for the greater work He is calling you to. And just as silence isn't rejection, it's also not passive. In silence, there's an active waiting. You are not waiting idly for something to change. You are actively preparing your heart to receive what God has for you. You're not simply biding your time. You're learning the rhythm of God's voice, the cadence of His presence, and the peace that comes when you fully trust in His timing. When you emerge from this season of silence, you won't just be unchanged. You'll be refined, restored, and more fully equipped for the calling God has placed on your life. The wilderness you have walked through has been your consecration, your time of sacred shaping. And as you emerge from the silence, you will do so with a deeper understanding of who you are in God, with a greater confidence in His plan for you, and with a new strength to step into the divine purpose that has been waiting for you. The silence, the solitude, and the wilderness were not a punishment, they were your preparation. And now, as you stand at the threshold of your purpose, you carry with you a strength that comes from the stillness. You are ready to walk into the calling that God has set before you, and nothing will shake the foundation that has been built in the silence. As you continue to move forward in your divine journey, one truth becomes clearer than ever. Obedience is the key that unlocks divine favor and the weight of glory. We often think of obedience as simply following instructions, but in the spiritual realm, obedience is much more. It's not just about compliance, it's about surrender, worship, and alignment with God's will, especially in the moments when it's the hardest to obey. It's easy to obey when things are going well, when the answers come quickly, and when you feel a sense of divine affirmation. But true obedience is revealed when everything feels uncertain, when the path seems unclear, and when you can't see the results of your faithfulness immediately. It's in these moments of struggle, when every part of you wants to turn away or give up, that obedience becomes the most powerful form of worship. Obedience is not about understanding every step of the journey. It's about trusting God's timing and His process. So many times in our lives, we want to know why things are happening the way they are, and we question God's plan when it doesn't make sense. But the true test of obedience is when you continue to follow God's will, even when you can't see the full picture. You don't need to know every detail or understand every twist and turn. What you need is faith. Faith that God is good, that His plans are perfect, and that He is working all things together for your good, even when it doesn't feel like it. Every act of obedience is an act of trust. When you obey, you are saying, God, I trust that you know what you're doing, even when I don't. This is where the weight of glory begins to unfold in your life. Obedience in these moments activates divine provision, leading to future blessings and restoration. The more you obey, the more God can trust you with His purpose. He will begin to reveal more to you, because you have shown yourself faithful in the small things, in the unseen moments. You may be wondering, why is obedience so important? Why does God need me to be obedient when I can't even see the full picture? The answer lies in the nature of God's glory. God's glory is weighty, it is full of power, transformation, and divine purpose. But in order to carry the weight of that glory, you must be purified. You must be prepared to hold it, to steward it well, and that preparation comes through obedience. Obedience isn't just about following commands. It's about positioning yourself to carry the weight of God's glory in a way that brings transformation not only to your life, but to the lives of those around you. When you obey in the silence, when you choose to trust in God's plan even when the path isn't clear, you open the door for God's glory to be revealed in your life. You activate divine favor, and His presence begins to manifest more powerfully within you. You become a vessel for His glory, a vessel that has been refined and prepared through the fires of obedience, through the crucible of struggle and waiting. But this isn't just about receiving God's glory for yourself. It's about what you do with it. Obedience to God positions you not only to experience His glory, but to distribute it. You are called to be a light in the darkness, a vessel of His power and love to the world around you. When you choose obedience, you are aligning yourself with God's greater purpose to bring healing, hope, and restoration to others. Your obedience doesn't just affect your own life. It has a ripple effect that impacts the lives of everyone you encounter. Think about it. When you obey, you don't just open the door for your own breakthrough. You open the door for others to experience breakthrough as well. Your obedience becomes a testimony of God's faithfulness, a beacon of light for others who are walking through their own trials. They will look at your life and see that God's promises are true, that His faithfulness is real, and that He is still in the business of performing miracles. But it's important to understand that obedience is not a one-time thing. It's a lifestyle. Every day, you must choose to obey, even when it's hard, even when it doesn't make sense. God doesn't ask for perfect obedience. He asks for willing hearts, hearts that trust Him, hearts that surrender to His will. And when you obey, even in the silence, even in the midst of uncertainty, you are laying a foundation for greater things. Your obedience becomes the anchor that holds you steady, even in the storm. It is the foundation upon which your future breakthroughs are built. As you walk in obedience, you will begin to see that the weight of glory is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. God's glory is meant to be carried. You are meant to carry it. But in order to do so, you must be faithful, not just in the good times, but in the difficult times. Obedience is the key to unlocking the fullness of God's glory in your life. And as you step forward in trust, in faith, and in obedience, you will begin to see the divine favor and blessing that follow. When we think of obedience, we often think of compliance, doing what God asks, because we have to. But true obedience is born out of love and trust. It's about surrendering your will to God's, trusting that His plan is always better than your own. It's about choosing His way over your way, even when it doesn't make sense. And as you do, you will experience the fullness of God's glory in ways you've never imagined. Obedience, especially in times of struggle and silence, is an act of worship. It's saying, God, I don't understand why this is happening, but I trust You. I know that You are good, and I believe that You are working everything for my good. This type of obedience moves heaven. It activates divine favor and opens doors of opportunity. It positions you for the breakthrough that is just ahead, and it allows God to move mightily in your life. As you continue to walk in obedience, the weight of glory that has been prepared for you begins to shift your very being. The deeper you lean into God's will, the more you realize that obedience is not just a passive act of compliance, it is an active form of worship, an invitation for heaven to manifest in your life. Every step of obedience, no matter how small, is an invitation for God to move in ways that will transform not only your life, but the lives of those around you. This journey of obedience may not always be easy. It's often tested in moments of difficulty, silence, and uncertainty. The real challenge isn't obeying when everything is going well, but remaining obedient when it feels like God is silent, when the breakthrough hasn't come yet, and when you can't see the full picture. These are the moments that test the depth of your faith and the authenticity of your obedience. God doesn't want just your actions, He wants your heart. Obedience to Him is not about following rules or meeting expectations. It's about aligning your heart with His will. It's about choosing His way over your way, even when it's difficult, even when it feels counterintuitive, and even when the world tells you to take matters into your own hands. Your obedience is a reflection of your trust in His timing and His plan. It's a declaration that you believe God is good, even when circumstances don't make sense. In these times of struggle, when the way forward isn't clear and the pain feels overwhelming, it's easy to question God's plan. But obedience in these moments when it feels like you're sacrificing, waiting, or enduring, is where the power of divine favor and glory is activated. Heaven is watching, and every moment of silent obedience, every time you choose to trust when you cannot see, builds spiritual authority in your life. It's not the grand gestures of faith that make the biggest impact. It's the quiet acts of surrender, the small moments when you choose to trust God over your emotions, your circumstances, or your desires. Obedience is a form of worship. The more you obey, the more you give God control over your life, allowing Him to move in ways that exceed your understanding. And as you yield to God's will, you are activating a divine flow of favor, provision, and power that prepares you for greater things. God will not pour His glory into a vessel that hasn't been prepared to carry it. Just as a flower needs to grow in fertile soil, your obedience cultivates the environment in which God's glory can flourish. Each time you choose obedience, you make room for God to move. You make room for divine favor to flow into your life. You make room for restoration, not just of what you've lost, but of what was broken in the past. You're opening the door for God to restore relationships, resources, and opportunities that have been delayed or lost. The very act of obedience triggers the movement of heaven on your behalf, aligning the spiritual with the natural to bring about the breakthrough you've been waiting for. But let's be clear, obedience isn't about earning God's love or approval. You are already loved, already chosen. God's favor isn't something you can work for. It's a gift that flows from His grace. Obedience is not about performance. It's about alignment. When you choose obedience, you align your will with God's, and that alignment is what activates the divine favor that has been stored up for you. You open the door for God to pour out His blessings in ways that go beyond what you could ever expect. The beauty of obedience lies in its power to shift your perspective. When you obey, you see your circumstances differently. The struggles and difficulties that once seemed insurmountable begin to look like opportunities for God to move in your life. When you choose to obey, you are saying, God, I trust that your plan is greater than mine, and I will walk in it, even when I don't understand it. This surrender is the gateway to greater spiritual authority. Divine authority isn't about control or domination. It's about influence, the kind of influence that comes from living in alignment with God's will and carrying His presence in every area of your life. When you walk in obedience, you gain spiritual authority because you are submitting to the One who holds all authority. Your obedience allows God to work through you in powerful ways. You no longer walk by your own strength, but by His power, which gives you the authority to speak life into situations, to heal the brokenhearted, to guide others into their own purpose, and to bring His kingdom to earth. This authority isn't about titles or positions, it's about knowing who you are in Christ and walking confidently in that truth. As you walk in obedience, you begin to recognize that the authority you carry is not your own. It is the authority of Christ working through you. And this authority doesn't just give you power, it gives you purpose. It aligns your actions with God's will, so that your influence becomes a tool for His glory. You may find that, as you obey, you experience resistance. The enemy will try to distract you, discourage you, and pull you off track. But this is the moment to stand firm. The obedience that you have chosen positions you to withstand the attacks of the enemy. Every time you resist temptation, every time you choose peace over conflict, every time you choose faith over fear, you are strengthening your spiritual authority. The enemy cannot stand against a heart that is fully surrendered to God, and the more you walk in obedience, the more you will see your spiritual authority grow. This divine authority comes with a responsibility. As you walk in obedience and authority, you are now called to lead others. Your influence isn't just for your benefit, it's for the advancement of God's kingdom. You are meant to guide others, to be an example of what it means to walk in faith, to live a life of obedience, and to trust God even when it's hard. This is the weight of glory, not to shine in your own light, but to reflect God's light to the world around you. As you embrace this new level of obedience and authority, understand that it's not a burden, it's a gift. It's a responsibility that comes with great privilege. The power and favor you experience through obedience are meant to be shared, to impact others, to draw people closer to God. The glory you carry is not for you alone. It is for the world. God's plan for your life is far greater than you can comprehend. And as you step deeper into obedience, You are walking into the fullness of that plan. The weight of glory is not something you carry alone. You carry it to serve others, to build God's kingdom, and to bring His light to a world in need. Your obedience is the key to unlocking this glory, and it is through your surrender that God will move in ways that are greater than anything you could have imagined. You have come a long way. You've walked through the storms, stood firm in the silence, and emerged from the fire refined and prepared for what lies ahead. Now, as you stand at the threshold of a new season, there is a sense of destiny in the air. You are no longer wandering aimlessly. The clarity you've sought for so long is now within reach. You are stepping fully into your divine purpose. The journey to this point has not been easy, but it has been necessary. Every trial, every delay, every silent season has shaped you, refined you, and positioned you for this very moment. You are no longer the person you once were, the person who questioned their worth or their calling. You are now someone who walks in divine alignment, someone who is ready to step into the fullness of their purpose. But stepping into your divine purpose is not just about acknowledging your gifts or calling, it's about accepting the responsibility that comes with it. Purpose isn't simply about fulfillment, it's about responsibility. You have been chosen for a higher calling, one that goes beyond personal success or achievement. Your purpose is tied to God's greater plan for the world, and stepping into it means walking in alignment with His will, serving others, and becoming a vessel through which His glory flows. The moment you recognize your calling, you will notice a shift in your mindset. No longer will you chase after your own ambitions. You will begin to see everything you do as part of a divine mission, a mission that isn't just for you, but for the world around you. You are called to be a light in the darkness, a beacon of hope, and a reflection of God's love. This is the weight of purpose, to live not just for yourself, but for something much greater. You are part of something eternal, part of God's plan to bring healing, restoration, and redemption to the world. Embracing your purpose means embracing the role you were always meant to play. And let me tell you, that role is bigger than you think. You may have underestimated the impact you are meant to have, but God's plan for your life is far greater than your own understanding. The gifts you've been given, the experiences you've had, and the lessons you've learned have all been shaping you for this moment. The time of preparation is over. Now is the time to step into your destiny, to walk in divine purpose, and to trust that God is with you every step of the way. When you step into your divine purpose, you will begin to experience a sense of fulfillment like never before. It won't always be easy, but it will always be rewarding. There will be challenges ahead, but you will no longer see them as obstacles. You will see them as opportunities for growth, learning, and deepening your trust in God. Every challenge you face will only refine your purpose further, making you more equipped to walk the path God has set before you. It's important to understand that purpose isn't about doing something that will bring you fame, fortune, or recognition. Divine purpose is about being faithful to the calling God has placed on your life, whether that calling is seen by many or just by a few. Your purpose is not dependent on the world's validation. It is dependent on your faithfulness to God. This doesn't mean that you won't experience blessings or rewards. It simply means that your focus is no longer on the applause of man, but on the approval of God. This new season of purpose will bring with it new responsibilities. You will find yourself called to lead, to serve, and to influence others in ways that you may not have imagined. But as you step into this new level of responsibility, you will also be stepping into new levels of strength, wisdom, and grace. The more you walk in alignment with God's will, the more He will equip you to handle the challenges and opportunities that come with this new season. The key to walking in divine purpose is alignment. It's about aligning your will with God's will. It's about seeking His kingdom first, trusting that everything else will fall into place. As you step into your calling, you may not always understand how everything will work out. You may not have all the answers, and the road ahead may seem uncertain, but what you do have is faith. a faith that knows God's plans are good, that His timing is perfect, and that He is faithful to complete the work He has started in you. It's in this alignment that you begin to understand the weight of glory you've been entrusted with. The glory of God is not something to be taken lightly. It's not something that you carry on your own. It's something that flows through you, something that empowers you to live a life that brings glory to God and impacts the world. As you walk in your divine purpose, you are walking in His glory, reflecting His light, and becoming a living testimony of His power and love. As you step into this new season, it's important to recognize that God has already gone before you. He has already prepared the way, and He is already working behind the scenes to align the right opportunities, relationships, and resources for you to fulfill your purpose. This is not a journey you take alone. God is with you every step of the way, and His angels are surrounding you, guiding you, and protecting you. You are not walking into the unknown. You are walking in the fullness of God's plan, and He will guide you as you move forward in faith. This new season is a season of influence, but not just for your benefit. Your influence is meant to serve others, to bring them into the light of God's love and purpose. The more you walk in alignment with God's will, the more you will see the lives of those around you impacted by the divine purpose you are living out. As you walk in your calling, you will become a beacon of hope, a source of strength, and a light to those who are lost in the darkness. God's purpose for your life is not just about what you can achieve, it's about how you serve others, how you reflect His love, and how you bring His kingdom to earth. The more you walk in your divine purpose, the more you will see the ripple effect of your obedience. Your life becomes a testimony to others, a story of how God works through His people to bring about His will on earth. In this season, trust that everything you've been through, everything you've endured, and everything you've learned has been preparing you for this moment. The time to rise is now. You are stepping into your divine purpose, and you are fully equipped for what lies ahead. Embrace it, trust God's plan, and know that you are walking in the power of His presence, fulfilling the calling He has placed on your life. As you step fully into your divine calling, you begin to realize that this purpose is not just for you. It is not solely for your success, happiness, or personal fulfillment. No, the purpose you have been called to is far greater than that. Your divine purpose is a tool that God is using to bring about transformation not only in your life, but in the lives of those around you, and ultimately, in the world. You are not merely a vessel for God's blessings and favor. You are a vessel for His glory, and that glory is meant to flow through you to others. This truth that your life is meant to be a vessel for God's glory carries a profound weight. When you begin to understand this, you realize that every decision you make, every action you take, and every word you speak has the potential to impact the world for God's kingdom. Your life becomes more than a collection of experiences. It becomes a living testimony, a reflection of the divine power at work in you and through you. The more you embrace this truth, the more you begin to see the ripple effect of your obedience and faith. It's easy to think of purpose as something personal, a calling that is meant to fulfill you individually. But divine purpose is meant to be shared. Your purpose isn't something to be hoarded or kept to yourself. It's a gift meant to be distributed, a calling meant to bless others. The gifts, talents, and wisdom God has placed inside of you are not just for you, they are for the world. As you embrace your divine purpose, you begin to understand that your life is not about achieving personal success, but about making a difference in the lives of others. God is not just calling you to live for yourself, to chase after your own dreams or desires. He is calling you to live for His kingdom, to use your life as a tool for His glory. The influence you have is not for your own validation, recognition, or self-promotion. It is for the advancement of God's will on earth. You have been given this purpose to serve others, to lead them toward the love and grace of God, and to help them step into their own divine callings. This is where the true depth of divine purpose lies, in service. The more you serve, the more you become a vessel for God's love. When you step into your calling, you begin to realize that everything you do is an act of worship. The way you love others, the way you serve them, the way you lead them, all of it is a reflection of God's glory. You are no longer living for yourself. You are living for something much bigger than your own desires. You are living for God's kingdom. And that is where true fulfillment is found. When you live in alignment with God's will, you start to see the ripple effect of your life. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you act, all of it becomes a reflection of God's love and truth. Others will begin to take notice. They will see the way you carry yourself, the way you serve others, and they will be drawn to the light that you carry. You are not just called to live in purpose. You are called to be an example of what it means to live in God's presence, to reflect His glory, and to share His love with the world. This is the power of walking in divine purpose. It doesn't just change you, it changes everything around you. Your purpose is not a solitary journey, it is a communal journey. As you walk in your calling, you draw others into the light of God's love. Your life becomes a testimony of what it means to walk in obedience, trust, and faith. You begin to influence those around you, not by what you say, but by how you live. Your life becomes a living testimony, a reflection of God's glory, and a tool that He uses to bring others into their own divine purpose. When you embrace your divine purpose, you start to see the world through different eyes. You no longer see people just for who they are on the surface. You see them as God sees them, people with divine potential, people who are waiting for the love and truth of God to be revealed in their lives. As you walk in your purpose, you begin to have eyes to see the needs of others, the opportunities for service, and the ways in which you can impact the world around you. Your purpose isn't just about what you can do, it's about what God can do through you. The more you walk in your divine purpose, the more you begin to understand that God has placed you exactly where you are for a reason. Your experiences, your skills, your relationships, everything in your life has been designed for this moment. You are walking in the divine alignment that God has orchestrated. The connections you make, the people you meet, and the opportunities that come your way are not accidental. They are all part of the greater purpose God is fulfilling through your life. As you step into your calling, you also begin to experience the fullness of divine favor. God's favor isn't just about financial blessings or worldly success. It's about the peace, wisdom, and guidance that come from walking in alignment with His will. When you are in God's will, you find favor in unexpected places. You experience His provision in ways that surpass your understanding. The more you walk in obedience and surrender, the more you begin to experience the abundance of God's blessings. His favor isn't just something you receive, it's something you distribute. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you serve, the more God provides. And this provision isn't just for you, it's for others. You are called to be a vessel of God's blessings, to pour out what He has poured into you. As you walk in your purpose, you will see how God uses your life to bless those around you, to heal broken hearts, and to bring hope to the hopeless. Your life becomes a vessel of transformation, a beacon of light in a world that desperately needs it. It's in the act of giving that you begin to see the true power of your purpose. When you give your time, your energy, and your resources to others, you become a reflection of God's love and generosity. You are not just receiving blessings, you are becoming a channel for those blessings to flow through. Your divine purpose isn't about accumulation, it's about distribution. It's about sharing the love, grace, and favor that God has given you with the world. As you walk in your divine purpose, you will begin to see the ripple effect of your life. The impact of your obedience, your service, and your love will spread far beyond what you can see. You may never fully understand the extent of the lives you touch, but know this. Every act of love, every word of encouragement, and every act of obedience plants a seed in the hearts of others that will continue to grow and bear fruit long after you are gone. You are walking in divine purpose chosen for such a time as this, and God is using your life to bring His kingdom to earth. The more you embrace this truth, the more you will see how your life becomes a part of something much bigger than yourself. You are a vessel of transformation, an agent of God's glory, and a reflection of His love to the world. Embrace the calling, trust the process, and know that you are exactly where you are meant to be. You've been through seasons of hardship, disappointment, and pain. At times, it may have felt like everything you worked for was slipping away, or that the promises you held close were never going to be realized. It's easy to think that the struggles, delays, and setbacks you've faced are signs that you've been overlooked, that your prayers have gone unanswered, or that something is wrong with your journey. But here's a powerful truth. What you perceive as setbacks, what you see as loss or failure, may just be God's way of preparing you for something far greater. God specializes in divine reversal, taking what seemed like dead ends, what appeared to be defeats, and turning them into stepping stones for a much greater purpose. The pain you've endured is not in vain. What you once saw as a loss will now be turned into your greatest testimony. The circumstances that seem like they were working against you are actually being used by God to position you for the breakthrough and elevation you've been praying for. The divine reversal is the beautiful turning of circumstances that God orchestrates to bring you into a place of greater alignment with His purpose for your life. Think about the seasons when you felt like you were at a dead end, when it seemed like your dreams had been dashed, or when the doors that you had been praying for remained closed. You probably wondered, why did this happen? Why did the promises take so long? The truth is that God doesn't waste any season of your life, no matter how painful or frustrating it may feel at the time. Every single setback, every delay, and every moment of seeming failure is being used by God to prepare you for the fullness of your purpose. What you thought was a setback is actually God's setup for something greater. You might look back at your journey and feel the weight of what you've lost, whether it's opportunities, relationships, or dreams that didn't come to fruition as you expected. It's easy to think that you've missed your chance, or that what you lost can never be restored. But God's economy is different from the world's. What you may have considered a setback is often just the necessary pruning that makes room for what He is about to pour into your life. Just as a tree must be pruned for it to grow stronger and produce more fruit, you have been pruned for your divine purpose. God has used every challenge, every delay, and every disappointment to shape you into the person who can now handle the blessing He is about to release. This process of divine reversal is a beautiful display of God's grace. What once seemed like failure or loss will be redeemed. The doors that seemed closed are about to open in a way that you never imagined. The relationships that were broken will be restored. The dreams you thought were lost will be revived. The struggles that have defined you will now be used to elevate you, not as a victim, but as a victor. This is the power of divine reversal. What was meant for harm is being turned for your good. The past pain you've endured will now be your platform for purpose. But here's the key. You have to recognize that your restoration isn't just about getting back what you lost. God's restoration is always about multiplication. What you've lost, what you've suffered, what you've been through, it's all being used to set you up for greater things. This is the divine economy. God doesn't just restore what was lost. He restores it and then multiplies it, bringing you into a place of greater glory, greater purpose, and greater influence than you ever thought possible. What you thought was a defeat is actually positioning you for elevation. The beautiful thing about divine reversal is that it's not just an external change, it's an internal transformation as well. God doesn't just shift your circumstances, He shifts your heart. The pain you've endured has refined your character, has strengthened your faith, and has prepared you to carry the weight of the glory that is coming. You are being prepared for something far greater than you ever imagined, and the restoration you experience will reflect not just the things you've lost, but the strength, the wisdom, and the maturity you've gained in the process. As you step into this new season, you will begin to see how everything that seemed to work against you has actually been used by God to position you for His divine purposes. The struggles you've endured were not in vain. The waiting, the confusion, the brokenness, God has been using all of it to build in you the capacity to handle the blessings He is now bringing into your life. You have been prepared for elevation. You have been prepared to walk in the fullness of your divine purpose. And now you are ready to see the breakthrough that has been promised to you. This new season of restoration isn't just about you. It's about what God wants to do through you. Your story, your pain, and your victory will now become a testimony to others of God's faithfulness and goodness. As you step into the fullness of your calling, you will see how God uses your life to impact the lives of those around you. What was once broken, lost, or delayed is now going to be used to bless others, to bring them into their own divine purpose, and to show them that God's promises are true. The divine reversal is not just a change in your circumstances, it's a complete transformation of your outlook, your identity, and your mission. What seemed like a series of setbacks is actually the path to your greatest breakthrough. You are walking into a season of divine elevation. Elevation in your purpose, your relationships, your opportunities, and your influence. What you once saw as a dead-end road is now the path to divine fulfillment. You may still feel the weight of the past, of all the things that didn't go as planned, the doors that never opened, and the promises that seemed delayed. But trust this. Every delay, every hardship, every moment of waiting has been part of God's divine setup. He's been using these moments to refine you, to prepare you, and to position you for a greater purpose. The reversal is coming. The restoration is coming. What once seemed like a setback is about to become a stepping stone to something greater than you could ever have imagined. As you step into this new season of divine reversal, remember this: what seemed like loss was never wasted. It has been preparing you, refining you, and positioning you for the purpose that God has always had for your life. Your restoration isn't just about returning to where you were, it's about stepping into a new level of influence, glory, and purpose. You are about to walk into the fulfillment of God's promises, and it will be greater than anything you ever imagined. As you step into this new season of divine restoration, you will begin to see everything differently. The past pain, the struggles, and the delays that once felt like roadblocks now become the foundation for your breakthrough. You're not just stepping into a new season, you're stepping into a new identity. God's divine reversal doesn't just change your circumstances. It transforms who you are, what you believe, and how you view your purpose in the world. The things you once saw as obstacles are now stepping stones, each one leading you to the greater purpose God has designed for your life. Your past struggles and pain are not just memories to be forgotten. They are the very things that will propel you forward into your destiny. What seemed like setbacks, what felt like the end of the road, is now the testimony of God's faithfulness and His ability to turn everything around. This is the beauty of divine restoration. It takes what was broken, what was lost, what was delayed, and uses it to bring about something even greater. What you thought was a defeat is now your platform for victory. It is in the divine reversal that you begin to understand your true identity. You are no longer defined by your past mistakes, your failures, or your setbacks. You are not the person you once were, someone defined by what they lacked or what they had lost. No, you are a person marked by God's restoration, a person who has been healed, transformed, and elevated to walk in the fullness of God's purpose. The person you were in the waiting is not the person you are now. You are now walking as someone who has been through the fire and come out stronger, more equipped, and more empowered to fulfill your divine calling. This new identity is not just about you. It's about the impact you are going to have on others. The purpose you once carried for your own benefit is now being expanded. God has not restored you for you to simply enjoy His blessings. He has restored you so that you can carry His glory and share it with others. Your life, your testimony, your restoration, these are all now tools that God will use to reach those around you. The world will see His goodness, His power, and his faithfulness reflected in your life. You've been elevated, not for your own personal gain, but to fulfill a greater purpose. The divine reversal is not just for you, it is for the world around you. As you step into this new identity, you will become a vessel through which God's love, grace, and power flow. The struggles you've faced, the pain you've endured, and the lessons you've learned are now the foundation for the work you are called to do. You are now called to help others find their own restoration, to guide them through the darkness, and to bring them into the light of God's truth. As you walk in this new season of restoration, you will begin to see how God is positioning you for even greater things. The doors that were once closed are now opening. The opportunities that seemed out of reach are now within your grasp. What you once saw as unattainable is now becoming a reality. God is not just restoring what was lost. He is expanding your capacity to receive more. This is not just about getting back what you once had. This is about stepping into a season of abundance, where God will give you more than you ever imagined. You are not just being restored, you are being elevated. The divine reversal that God is bringing into your life is a shift from survival to thriving. You will begin to experience an overflow in every area of your life, spiritually, emotionally, financially, and relationally. God is not simply returning what you lost, He is giving you more. You are now walking in the fullness of His promises, experiencing His provision and favor in ways that exceed your understanding. The waiting has been worth it. The struggle has been worth it. The silence has been worth it. And now, as you step into this new season, you are walking in the fulfillment of what God has been preparing you for. One of the most beautiful aspects of divine restoration is that it is not just external, it is internal as well. As God restores your circumstances, He is also restoring your heart, your mind, and your soul. You are no longer walking with the same fear, the same doubt, or the same insecurity that you once carried. You have been made whole. The pain that once defined you is now the source of your strength, and the scars that you once thought were weaknesses are now testimonies of God's power to heal and restore. As you embrace this new identity, you will begin to notice a shift in the way you see yourself and the world around you. You will no longer be defined by what you've lost. You will be defined by what God has restored to you and the purpose that He has called you to fulfill. You are walking into a new chapter, one where God is using your life to make an eternal impact. You are no longer just living for yourself. You are living for something much greater, for God's kingdom, for His glory, and for the restoration of the broken world around you. And with this new purpose comes a new level of authority. You are no longer walking in your own strength. You are walking in the power of God's restoration. The divine reversal that you've experienced has given you a new level of authority to speak life into situations that once seemed hopeless. Your words carry weight, your actions carry power, and your presence brings healing. This is the weight of glory that God has placed upon you, not for your own exaltation, but for the service of His people. Your restoration isn't just about the blessings you receive. It's about how you use those blessings to bless others. You have been restored to carry God's glory into the world, to bring healing to the broken, and to be a living testimony of His faithfulness. The divine reversal you are walking in is a powerful tool to bring about change, transformation, and hope for those around you. As you step into this new season, trust that God has prepared you for this moment. The work you've done, the lessons you've learned, and the pain you've endured have all been part of the divine preparation that has brought you to this point. You are walking into the fulfillment of God's promises, and nothing at all will stop what He has planned for you. The time of restoration has come, and now, as you embrace this new identity, you will see how your life begins to shine with the glory of God, touching the lives of everyone you encounter. Thank you so much for joining us on this divine journey today. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We want to keep spreading these life-changing insights to those who need it the most. Your support helps us reach more people, and together, we can create a wave of transformation that will ripple across the world. If you're ready to embrace the transformation that's unfolding in your life, let us know in the comments below. Remember, your breakthrough is coming, and we're here to walk with you every step of the way. Stay aligned, stay faith-filled, and see you in the next video.